Hi, welcome to the Barry Nation podcast, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. I'm April.
I'm Jason.
I'm Natalie.
And today we have the honor of welcoming back one of our favorite humans on the planet, Mr. Ked. Hi, Ked.
What's happening, y'all? How y'all doing today?
Good.
We're good now that we're talking to you.
Hey, absolutely, man. I definitely appreciate you guys having me back on the podcast. I love being on here. We always have great conversation, and it's just always a great vibe. And before we go further, I just want to say it was so great to meet all three of you in person in Orlando back here 4 weeks ago. That was so awesome. Great.
Yes,
It was amazing. I mean, I get a little bit nervous sometimes when I meet the people that I'm most admire in our community, because you're just like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't say something stupid. And you're just so hopeful that they are exactly who they are in real person, you know, like in the digital world. And oh my God, you are the same in every sense of the word. You're just so kind, so caring, and you're so involved and connected with the community. You just have a way of supporting people, I think, in a way that is just so authentic and just so meaningful. You just get to it without any of the extra fluff, and that is rare.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that. And I just think that in this day and time, that's what people need. You know, they need the authenticity, and because we go through so much on this journey, and I think that when we're on this journey, we're dealing with a whole lot, and then you compound what's going on in everyday life, and then in the world out with pandemic and all this other craziness that goes on in the world, and it takes a toll on people's mental and their psyche. And to be able to come here to a safe space and connect with a group of people and find your tribe, I think that's everything to a lot of people. And I really found that out at the retreat, because so many people, it was overwhelming, to say the least, because I had no idea that people felt this way about me. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm just a kid, you know, I'm just this average dude, man, who just happens to be passionate about crazy stuff, food, you know, I'm just the same dude. But I mean, people were like, you know, I was like, why are people in a line? And it's like, no, you're trying to take a picture. I'm like, with who? And it's like, you dumbass. And I was like, oh, seriously? I'm like, why?
Yeah, we had a lot of conversations, me trying to get you ready for what was about to go down, because but that's the thing. We went into the last retreat the same way. We were thinking, oh, you know, we'll talk to some people, say hi, take a picture or two, and it'll be cool. And we were overrun like that too. So it was kind of cool for me having the experience already to kind of get you ready for what was about to come.
Yeah, you told me, you warned me. I still didn't really hear it. I heard it, but I'm like, Jason bullshitting. He just playing with it.
It's a weird feeling too, because I think those are the moments you realize, like, oh, I am the safe space for these people, instead of, right, you know, thinking, oh, I need a safe space. We all do. But it's a very odd feeling and overwhelming to think, oh, I'm the safe space for so many people. And I think those moments are when people like us, we realize, like, oh, I'm not just Natalie in my house. No, I'm like projecting to thousands of people. So
it's the connection that you know that you make when you realize that you're actually making those connections. It really, like, it fills a different part of your heart that I don't think a lot of us have had filled before, because right, you know, speaking and saying the things that we do and being on these, you know, types of situations and on lives and stuff all the time, you know, people come in and they talk, and you know, you're a part of a community. But when you realize that you're a little bit bigger part of a community, like what you say actually matters, and the connections you make are all genuine, like that's really what makes it special for all of us.
Absolutely. You know, it was such a joy to be able to just talk with people, and it was just so surreal, because you meet people that you've been talking with online, in my case, for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And then to see them in person, and then to meet people that I had no idea were even following me, and then to come up to me and be like, hey, you know, I did this, and this. And I mean, I literally had people that were crying, you know, and I was like, no, that's not what we're going to do. No. And it's like, you know, I didn't say no, but I'm thinking in my mind, no, because you're going to get me going. And I'm like, I'm trying to be cool. You know, I'm just trying to be cool and reserved kid, you know, but it was just but it was just great. And it was tears of joy for a lot of people, you know, to be able to say, hey, you know, you just don't know how much you helped me through, just even from just looking at reels or listening to the podcast or, you know, just everyday life. And people was like, well, man, I just appreciate you being genuine. And I'm like, well, I really wouldn't have it no other way, because people, and I made this reel a while, just a few weeks ago, and I talked about we've got to be more transparent than we've ever been before with people. And what I mean when I say that, I mean, we always post the good shit. That's going to be a given. We're going to, and you know, like I tell people all the time, when I'm making videos and stuff, it might take me 2 or 3 hours to get 30 seconds of content because I'm looking for the most perfect moment. But then I'm like, why? You know, because social media has us thinking that we've got to be so perfect and everything has, I mean, just go back to the Kardashians, you know, it came out that they have been photoshopping pictures and stuff like this for the sheer utter thing of perfection, that they want to put this persona out there that's so perfect. But we know that this journey is nowhere near perfect and it won't ever be. And people need to know what exactly they're getting themselves into, because I actually had somebody reach out to me and say, hey, kid, you didn't tell me that this, and this was going to happen. But they was looking at they fell in love with the results side of it. And I had to take some accountability for that. I mean, I don't take all of it, because at the end of the day, we all humans and we all make our own choices and decisions. But people will base their life and journey off of what you do and what you say works. So that's accountability on our part.
Yes. And what the three of us have been talking about a lot recently is, you know, I'm experiencing maybe regain, maybe it's just that big 10% bounce, but just finding it difficult to do the things that I know I need to do, right? Consistency and motivation and willpower, right? Like you're just feeling like, I do not want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a bariatric patient anymore. I'm just done. And the three of us have been talking about it privately. And I've been talking about it a little bit more on my own personal Instagram and then a little bit on Barry Nation. But the outpouring of connection has been not overwhelming, but surprising, right? There was a day that I went on my stories and I was just like, I am just feeling so like meh today. I just don't want to do, like, I'm just, and I literally had hundreds of direct messages from people saying, I feel the exact same way. And to know that real thing that I am going through is actually quite normal and that others are feeling it too. It just helped me kind of lower the temperature, lower the stress that I was putting on myself about feeling this way. But it's also helping our community go, oh, okay, so this is normal. Like there is nothing wrong with me. I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't, broken the tool, or I'm not a bad bariatric patient. This is just like life. This is just the experience. Mm-hmm. And it's empowering because, again, people who are going through exactly what I'm going through, we don't have to feel like we're doing something wrong. We don't have to hide or be ashamed or stop doing what we're doing. It just means that we're in a spot that we know we don't feel comfortable in anymore. And we need to find a way to get good, to get comfortable again. And how we do that is the work of weight loss surgery, right? That's what we want people to join us with and to do alongside us, is this work, so that we can all figure out how we make this a lifelong success. But if we're not sharing that, nobody knows.
I think people too, because I've had similar conversations, like today I posted on Barry Nation, I said, I've been grumpy. Like I've just been grumpy lately. And we've gotten a couple messages already being like, I'm grumpy too. I don't know why. And I think people are getting to the point where we know that social media is bullshit. And now we just want people to be people on social media. Like there's been a huge shift lately where people don't want, aesthetic is aesthetic and we all like it. We're programmed to like it. But people don't necessarily want that all the time. Now people want to know that like, oh, so-and-so is struggling. People want to know that Beyonce struggles with depression. Like we're all people, right? And people want to know that people are people. I think we've kind of come to that point in social media.
We have.
People.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that, because I recorded a podcast for the Sleep Leave Hype podcast just the other day for the first time in a few months, and I felt like I kind of lost myself. And I talk about this briefly with on the podcast, and I was like, well, you know what? I've been Ked all my life as far as what my family goes. You know, that's been a childhood nickname, either KC or Ked, and I related that person, you know, part of that person over to Sleep Leave the Hype, and now the Ked that everybody associates with on social media, I'm not really feeling it, if that makes sense anymore. And it's not in a negative sense. It's because people associate all this stuff with Ked as Sleep Leave the Hype, but I think it's time to kind of fall back a little bit and become more of Kedric, if that makes sense. And I just think that that persona was created out of necessity, but now it's like, when do I get to be me? You know, because if I'm out and people see me, or they want me to be Ked, you know, it's Ked. And I don't get me wrong, I fed into that persona of Ked, but I kind of hate that I gave my childhood nickname out there like that, because now I don't want to be known as Ked. And that's not a negative thing. And don't get me wrong, people can always call me Ked, Uncle Ked, whatever, but it's just me being me now. I'm into this journey, and I'm like, okay, I got to fall back a little bit because I'm kind of losing Kedric in this whole process. And like April, you mentioned some regain. I'm going through part of that right now, where I've, you know, and it's just a few pounds, but I mean, to me, that's more than what I want. And, you know, my habits, you know, I've fallen off the mark because I've been so busy engulfed in this whole social media rat race and what everybody's got going on, and trying to people please and be what everybody else thinks that I should be, that I'm not really taking care of me. And
yeah, it's like a crisis of conscience almost, because you're trying to be wear all the different hats, and it's hard to do, and it's easy to lose yourself. And you start thinking about that, and there is it's a multiple personality type of thing, because you got to be on camera, you got to be on, and you got to be this, and like we were talking about that about retreat, like depending on where your rooms are located in reference to everybody else's room, like you got to be on from the minute that you're out there with everybody until you shut your door, because people will be there, and if they see you in any way other than what they perceive you to be, then that creates a whole other, you know, storm of conflicts and people feeling a certain way. And it's not to say that people don't deserve the best version of you, but at the same time, it's very hard to keep up with all of those things. You got to be, you know, you to your family, you got to be you to your friends, you got to be you to Instagram, you got to be, you know, and it's hard to do after a while, and it's very easy to lose yourself, and self-care takes kind of a back burner approach to it, because you're so busy, you know, changing all the hats.
Right. And go ahead, Nat. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nat. I'm sorry.
No worries. I was going to say it reminds me of facets. We all have facets of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And when we start that social media, like I did, or like all of us did, you're sharing that one facet of you for so long that the moment it shifts to a different facet, people are like, whoa, this isn't you. And it's like, well, yeah, it is. It's just the other, I'm not just one dimensional. I have many, many parts. And people have a hard time with that.
They do, because they don't want to be impacted by your change. They want you to stay the same. You know, it's almost like somebody who's watching somebody on television, and you watch this show for years, and you watch this person grow up right before your eyes, and you only associate with them that person that you have seen on TV. And in essence, they're really just playing a character. That's not really the true them. And that's kind of where this is similar to, even though this is me, but at the same breath, you know, like I was saying about, you know, putting together the reels and stuff like that. When I do these cooking demos and reels and stuff, it's like, okay, cut. Then I push all this shit to the side, because Kay can't eat all that.
Right.
You know, I mean, I make this grand plate, and my wife's like, well, maybe you should just start making a place for what you eat, but it's going to look boring to people if I just put one drop. You can't really plate it and make it look good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like the cameras go off, I clean up the kitchen, and then I'm disgusted, because I'm like, all right, You know, I made some of the food that I really love, and I can't eat a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? And like April was saying, you know, and that's a new statement for me now. I just thought I don't want a bariatric anymore. That's going to be my new thing. Like when you say, I don't want an adult anymore. I don't want a bariatric anymore because it's tiring. It's overwhelming. And okay, I didn't pull the car off. You know, everybody said we're on this journey for life. Okay, my shit is stalled in the far right lane. I'm in the emergency lane. I'm like, fuck this. I done got out and started walking now. That's kind of where I am. Because I'm like, fuck this. I don't want a bariatric anymore. Because I mean, it's like, I'm tired.
Yes.
You know, I just want to go back to being who I was in some form of fashion before all of this. If that
My
makes
mind, yeah, my mind is blown. I had no idea that you were moving through these feelings and emotions. I'm like, I mean, I've had goose. I'm like, you should see what I'm writing. I mean, I'm just like, oh, holy shit, Kedric. Because I feel the very, not the exact same way, but I mean, like, oh my gosh, I am right there with you, trying to understand, like, Natalie, what you said, like, I mean, a diamond is a diamond. You can't really look at one facet of a diamond and call it a diamond, right? It sparkles and shines because, like, a round diamond, I think, has 108 facets. Maybe it's 256. I can't remember, right? Those are, right, individual cuts. Those are individual faces, flat faces that all do something different. But it's not a diamond unless you connect all of those facets together. And right. And if we're only showing, or if we're only looking at one of the facets, we're missing out on the true beauty that is a cut diamond
of you. Yeah. We're missing out.
Right.
Missing out on you.
There's so much more to Kedric than what you see on the surface. You don't get to see all that. And of course, I don't invite everybody into that because everybody's not deserving of being into that circle like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's, don't get me wrong, it's nothing against people, you know, because I know people are going to be out here be like, oh, okay, the hell with Ked, fuck him, let's cancel him now because he said he don't want to do it no more. You know, that's not it at all. That's not it.
Cancel all of us then.
Well, and yeah, because there's nobody out there that has not at one point or another pulled their car to the side of the road and said, fuck it, and tried to walk. Like, I promise you right now that everybody in the bariatric community has at one point in time been like, I don't want to do this shit anymore, because we talk about this all the time. This shit's hard. It is hard work. The easy shit is getting cut on. Once you get out of surgery, the shit begins and it doesn't stop. Like, this is a lifetime. You've signed up for this shit for life. You've got to do this to maintain, to be able to do what you got to do. Now, the beauty of our community that we have built is they aren't understanding of that, because I think a lot of people are feeling the social media fatigue side of things and realizing that they do want to start incorporating more of themselves into the stuff that they're showing the world, because it really does start to feel like a reality show at some point. You're like, you know, it's not quite scripted, but it's not quite real. So at the same time, people are kind of like, like, am I really giving them the true, authentic part of myself? So
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, so it comes up that way. But the beauty of our community is I think that they will all rally around the parts that we decide to show that are more of us than just the bariatric side, because I feel like they're feeling it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I got a potty mouth. I'm a cusser. You know, I've been trying to watch what I say. You know, I've been inhibiting myself, and I just feel like, man, I'm stunning everything about who I am. And for what? You know, if somebody comes on and I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he posted that. I'm like, why? You wanted me to be real. This is who I am. This is who I've always been. I have not posted stuff. I went and posted stuff and then I've taken it down because I'm, the reception that I've gotten from it. And I think that when you start to get into stuff like that and you're compromising who you are, then that's when you gotta be like, wait a minute, let me stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, integrity matters 100%. Like if that's who I mean, if that's truly who you are, then you put it up. You said what you said, and that's what it is. I mean, you're going to take the good with the bad. That's it comes with any aspect of it all. Like there's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. People are going to say good stuff, people are going to hate on it, but I mean, you got to let it ride.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't know. Then the whole thing too, with the weight and like April was talking about, with going back and forth with the weight and teeter-tottering and just trying to get back on track. I think that we've kind of put ourselves out there double than what the average person was who's having weight loss surgery. Because not only are, you got to think about it, you look at your peers and people who are sitting back waiting to see if you're going to fail, if you're going to do this, if you're going to do that. So now, like the four of us, we've put ourselves really out into the atmosphere, and we're like really into the public eye and under the spotlight. And now this is what makes it suck so bad, because we can't fail in front of the world. We can't come back and gain all the weight back in front of the world because you said this, you said that, kid, you said this, this, and this, and now look at you.
I don't know if I disagree, but I wonder about that. And the only reason I wonder about that is, and this has only popped into my brain since the moment that you shared what you shared, Kat, about what you're struggling with now. Right? When we first have surgery, we feel amazing. We feel probably in a way that we have never felt before, right? Physically, emotionally, mentally, the physical weight is lifting, this emotional fog is lifting, right? Like our brains are functioning, like everything is like hitting on all cylinders, right? We are euphoric. And that facet of our life is now facing the sun, so to speak, right? Like that diamond got turned around and bling, that is what we are showing. So maybe that sleeve believe the hype persona was the only thing that you could show, because that was truly the only part of you that was there to shine. You were so euphoric, right? And that is your euphoric side of yourself. And then when things shift and they get hard, this different part of our persona has to come out and be present, because, well, this isn't right. Like things have changed. So it's not that you are not sleep believe the hype. It's like exactly what you've been saying. I am this whole complete person. And when that diamond shifts a little bit, we have to show a different part of ourselves. And if regain is a part of who we are, then that is what we have to show. If we're saying that I want to be the most authentic person, I don't know if we ever get to a point where we can hide anything. And right. I think that's the danger of being so public about our journey. And, I almost, right? And I almost feel like this is the reckoning. Like, oh my God, I thought I figured this out. I have not figured this out. I have to publicly say I have not figured it out. And now I have to show publicly how I'm going to get through it. And that sucks.
Yeah, that's the part that really sucks. And I guess what I was alluding to is like, that's how we feel. I guess that's how I feel in my mind, that, hey, I can't fail in front of these people because I'm going to, it's going to make me look bad. I'm going to look like a failure. So, but April, you're absolutely right. We have to step into that moment at when it's going on. And I think that is the part that separates people that are going to be really genuine about it, or the people that's going to disappear and, come back after a while and be like, if they ever got their shit together, or if they didn't, and they'd be like, well, I went through this and I went through that. Instead of just escaping, you got to own it and, step up to the plate. Hey, this is what's going on. I gained 20 pounds. I got to work on this. I'm a work in progress. That's part of the journey.
Because
and it sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just said it sucks. That's it.
It does. But I think that, like April said, like that's the reckoning of weight loss surgery, social media right now, is when people say, you didn't tell me that it was going to be like, that's like you said, Ked, that's on us.
Yeah.
And that's when we have to step up and in the moment say, I'm dealing with regain. I'm dealing with food addiction. I'm depressed, because that's real life. And people who are pre-op, who are, you know, in the throes of their pre-op diets or, you know, still on liquids, they want to know that like they're not wrong when they struggle. They want to know that they're not on the wrong path, because there is no right and wrong path. And you and I know that, but they don't know that.
Absolutely.
And it's on us to show them there is no right path. You just have to keep going.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like we're helping write the roadmap to, you know, places that haven't been, you know, uncharted territory at this point, because people, like you said, people talk about it, they disappear. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want people to know. And I was the first one, because when I gained a couple of my pounds of my regain, I went to April and Nat both, and I was like, I can't talk about this shit. I was like, what are people going to think? People are going to like, we're out here doing this, and I'm supposed to be, you know, motivating and helping people every week, but I'm sitting here, you know, struggling with regain. And they talked to me, and they were like, no, you have to talk about it. Like, that's how people are going to know. Because I was straight. I was like, nope, David Copperfield in this bitch. Now you see me, now you don't. I'm out. Like, I'm about to just poof, like gone. Because I wasn't trying, I didn't want people to think about that. I didn't want people to think, well, shit, now I'm going to get to 2 years and fail, and I'm going to gain some weight back. And I'm like, you know, it took them kind of getting me back into the right mind frame and perspective to talk about it. And it is hard. It does suck. But at the same time, this community is amazing in such a way that everybody rallies around and just kind of helps lift you up and get you, you know, back on track and figuring it out. And like, I downloaded a tracking app and tracked my breakfast today, and I'm ready to throw shit through walls, because I'm like, because my breakfast has been my breakfast forever. And I looked at it and was like, what the fuck? Like, Sarah's laughing at me as she's putting the stuff in, and she was like, oh, wonder where it's all coming from. And I'm like, like, I don't want to talk about it. So now I've got work to do. So, I mean, and that's just breakfast. Like, I'm not even to lunch yet. Shit, I don't even want to know what that's going to be like.
Hell no.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. I got work to do, and it's only breakfast.
We need that on a
like, I'm like, get out of bed, work to do. Like, what the fuck?
I have work to do, and it's only breakfast.
That's a shirt. That's a t-shirt.
That is, yeah, trademarking that. But let's take a step back though. We have actually already been here in our lives before.
Yeah.
We reached a point of reckoning when we made the decision to have bariatric surgery. And if we hadn't had surgery, we would be having this exact same conversation with ourselves, because there would be no one there to have this conversation with. There's no way in hell we would have ever talked about this with anyone outside of ourselves before surgery. This would have been a silent struggle.
Oh yeah, indeed.
Yeah, and there was no tracking before. So tracking.
Well, I mean, but you wouldn't go on a podcast and be like, hey, I'm really struggling with weight. I'm really struggling with not being my authentic self. Who am I? I've gotten away from who I am. Are you kidding me? You would have just eaten a hamburger and called it good.
I would have eaten 5, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, me personally, I'm there with you. And I would have had that conversation with myself, but it would have gone way differently than it does now. I'd be like, man, kid, you such a fat ass, but this burger tastes good as fuck. Fuck it. And that would be the last thing that I would say. The last 2 words, oh, fuck it.
Yep.
It is what it is. Fuck it. You know, I'm just gonna continue on until I was just so miserable. And it's funny that I associate everything to music, every fucking thing. And food is the centerpiece of all of this. Food. That's where we at. It's the centerpiece of all of this. And the Fat Boys, I'm sure y'all heard the Fat Boys before. We're all of the age where we see it. So the Fat Boys are back. It's one of my favorite tracks of all time. Kuroksky, he starts off his verse. He says, and this was canned, but I had more than this on my plate. He's like, for lunch, my menu is kind of large. 5 hamburgers, 3 shish kebabs, 2 large Cokes, 1 slice of cake, and I'll eat it all down in just one take. And then he comes back and says, an ice cream sundae with all the trimmings. I'm yelling for more because that's just the beginning. That's us. That was who we were. That is who I was. That all you can eat video with Eric Sabaros and shit, and they just go in there and wreck this buffet. That's who I was. And it's funny, but it's not funny because it's so fucking tragic. So tragic. The relationship that I had with food in the beginning, it was such an abusive relationship. And, you know, I abused myself. I abused everybody else around me, because, you know, when you get to be with people, like say for instance, my spouse, she wasn't the size that she was when she met me. She was a smaller person, but guess what? We adapt to what our partners do. And I was a bully when it came to eating. No, I'm going to eat this. I want to eat more. And, you know, next thing you know, she finds herself consuming more. The weight comes on, and now we're both, you know, struggling, you know, overweight. And now we've got health problems. And then we got kids to compound on top of that.
Yeah, 100%. And I had, you know, it was every, and the crazy thing was when I really started going down that road of eating like that, we were on, like my daughters had joined travel volleyball teams. So we would travel around with like the kids and the parents and doing all the things. And so I was not only eating like that in front of my wife and my friends, but I mean like that in front of all the kids too. Like they saw that, like the circus style eating from me everywhere we went. They always knew it had to have, you know, it had to be ridiculous. It had to be covered in cheese and more cheese and all the, you know, all the cheese sauce and all the shit you could handle. And like like everything, they that's just what they knew of me and how I ate. And so you're right when you talk about abusing those things, because, you know, when Sarah and I got together, she was small. She weighed like 165. She's 5'8". I mean, she's big. She's 5'9", so she's tall. So she weighed, you know, 165. And the more I ate, you know, she kind of sipping to eat with me too. And the next thing you know, we're both in that situation. So yep. It definitely affects the people around you more than you know.
How has your, I mean, I know your relationship with food has changed, but I mean, in light of like what we've really been talking about, I mean, has it really changed? Or do you think that what you're feeling now is almost like, are you still trying to work through that change in your relationship with food and with your family? Or do you think, are they two separate issues?
No, it's all a big ass pot, and all this shit is in it. You just got to figure out how to navigate through it. And I think that, and I always got this running joke, and I've said this for the last few years, that I had to break up with food, and we had to go our separate ways to understand each other before we can make up and get back together. And I think that was the starting point of something different, because when I started my journey because I was wanting to lose the weight because I wanted to live. So everything else went out the back burner. I didn't want to die. I was scared. I didn't want to die, but I didn't really go through the process like I should have, meaning that the psych eval, I stated through it. I didn't tell that woman shit. I told her only what she needed to hear so I can get her to approve me, but she knew that. But she told me, well, she didn't tell me, she told my doctor, I'm only passing this bastard because he's got a support system and he really needs to lose his weight, but he's hiding and holding on to some shit and he really needs to talk to somebody. I'm like, man, screw that. I'm Black, I don't need therapy, fuck out of here. That's what I thought. That was my mindset. But my mindset had to change, because once I got off that table, it was a whole different world. And I realized almost instantly something clicked. Okay, you dumbass. You had all this stuff in front of you. You had a whole 6 months to kind of digest and process all of this, but you didn't. You wanted what you wanted when you wanted. Now you fucking got it. So either you're gonna, like my grandfather used to say, you either shit or get off the pot now, bro. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to either do this or you're just gonna go back, or you're not gonna lose any weight and you're gonna be this. So I had to grow up and pull my damn drawers up, these big ass drawers up, and be a man and lace up these boots and step into the trenches and own what I did and go get it. Because I didn't respect the process in the beginning. And that's why I've been such an advocate for people to know what you're getting yourself into, because by the time they cut you, it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the cultural stigma behind mental health is just something that a lot of people that really people don't talk about. A lot of people don't know. Like they don't realize that in different cultural communities, how, mental health is looked down upon. Like there ain't nothing wrong with you. Like get up and go do your shit. Like go to work. You're not sick, go to work. You don't feel bad, go to work. Go to school, go do whatever. It's just how it is.
That's, and for so many years in the Black community, it's been that way because we weren't allowed to have emotions. You weren't allowed to feel because you got to go out here and work, and that goes back to, goes without saying, it goes back to the whole slavery mentality, to be honest with you, because, go out here and work and do what you're told and shut the fuck up. And you don't have time to think because next thing you know, somebody's on your back with a whip or something. So that's just passed down generationally. And you think about it, and that's what it is. And because now, okay, yeah, we're not slaves anymore, but you got to think things changed, but they didn't change. So just go back to, I can only go back as far as I know, and that's like my grandparents. My parents were raised during the civil rights era, right there in Memphis, in that area right there. That was that's where they killed Dr. King. So, that's like the centerpiece of a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. So you got to think, yeah, we're free, but we're still oppressed. And we still have to work very hard to get what we got. And we don't have, especially young boys, you don't have time to be crying and shit. You don't have time to be in your feelings. You got to stand up and be a man because you got to learn how to provide and you just got to get up and go get it. So there ain't no time for this sniveling and shit. And that is tragic within itself because of what it creates. And it's just passed down from generation to generation to generation. And if people say generational curses, I don't call them curses because curses is a bad thing. It's just a generational stigma that needs to be broken. And that's what I'm trying to do, is break that within my own family, starting with me, and then I can pass it on to others because it's in my family too. My father was the same way, great dude, took care of us, but, he felt like, hey, this is my job. I love you, but I don't have to tell you that because I'm going to show you because I'm going out here and I'm providing and I'm putting food. And that's what it is. That's what they were taught to being a man was. Put food on the table. I keep the lights on. You got clothes on your back. What else you got to complain about?
Yeah. Well, and it's also, given the fact that you guys, having to be out there working twice as hard as the next man, doing it twice as clean as the next man just to get half the praise is one of the things that, you can't afford to show emotion. You can't afford to show any cracks because that's weakness. And you guys, that was just not something that the Black community was able to ever show ever. Like, didn't matter when.
Right. And so then you bring that into the food situations. And so generationally, food becomes the focal point and the centerpiece of everything. It's what brings everybody together. We're going to sit down at the table. And this is a time that, because this is probably the only time that we're going to be able to communicate. You got to think that even within your own family unit, we're working, both parents are probably working, the kids are going to school. So the only time that we culminate and come together at the dinner table. So that's a sacred time. We all, when I grew up, we didn't eat dinner in front of the television. We all ate dinner at the table. We ate dinner at the table, whether it was some conversation or whatever, but that's just where everybody comes together. So then generationally, when we go down to grandmother's at grandma's house, everybody's down there, we breaking bread. And so, everybody's happy. It's a happy time. Nobody's sad. So food is the focal point. So guess what? It's easy to overindulge and it just gets worse and worse and worse because you haven't really been properly educated on the process of eating. And it's not, and people think that dieting is taking away what they consider to be all the bad shit. And then, you can't have it. We're going to eat like rabbits and we're going to lose all this weight. And then once we get off of the diet, then we're going to gain all this shit back, plus 20 more, and we don't understand why. It's because you didn't understand the relationship in the beginning with food. It all comes down to fucking moderation and balance. You don't have those two things, you're never going to do right with the diet, period. So that means that if you really like Bluebell fucking ice cream, you can have that shit. You just can't have 5 fucking scoops and 7 cookies and then go to bed and lay down on that shit after you done had this big ass fucking meal where you've had seconds. They used to joke, my grandma used to joke at me, I used to come out of the kitchen with my plate And she's like, man, baby, you got that plate plus sideboards. You know, like, it's just so much fucking food. And then I'm going to turn around and hit the dessert tray after that. You know what I'm saying? And it was just ridiculous. But they didn't stop me because they saw I was enjoying myself. And I can't blame them for that, because my grandmother's thing was, as long as that baby's happy, let that baby enjoy himself.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm packing on all these pounds and I'm not doing anything. I'm not having any activity, you know, outside of listening to hip hop and chilling in the cutover. I'm listening to music. Everybody else might be playing ball. Fuck ball. I'm chilling in the house. It's hot. You know, I'm watching TV. My thing was Joe MTV Raps and, you know, shit like that. The 18, you know, shit like that. So I wasn't really active like I should have been. And so I gained the weight. And I think that part of it is what needs to be stressed. And like now, even now, so my relationship with food, April, to answer your question, we've gotten back together. We broke up, we got back together. It's like a high school relationship. She, you know, a few years later, we rekindled the flames and I'm back. But I respect food and I damn sure make sure food respects me. Because I can't go back to that. I mean, like I said, I'm dealing with some issues now where I'm having a little bit of problem. You know, I've put on a few more, but you know what? That's because my moderation and balance is off. You know, and I still eat about the same, but the balance part of it is that I got to do my workouts. I know what I need to be doing, and I can't eat at certain times of the day. I can't eat before I go to bed. All that shit. You know, that's where the balance is off. The moderation part is still there. Yeah, I might take a bite or two more than what I should, but that restriction kicks in and be like, no, kid, cut that bullshit out. I'm going to fix you. How am I going to fix you? You're going to throw that shit up or you're going to be sick. And I don't like that. That happened to me once or twice and it didn't have to happen to me ever again. So I don't go through dumping because I don't like that. So yeah, I might push the envelope. I might take an extra bite and I have to spit that shit out or something. But the balance portion of it is where I'm lacking at. And that means working out. That's something that you cannot lack on. You cannot lack on your workouts. I don't give a damn how much weight you've lost, because that is a part of it. See, your body you train your body. I trained my body. I worked hard for 3 years doing this, and that's what my body got used to. So when your body gets used to a certain shit and you stop doing it, then it's like a shock to the system. Everything gets thrown out of whack. And then it starts to take on a mind of its own. And before you know it, then you're starting to gain weight again, and then you got to retrain the body all over again. It's a never-ending cycle. It does not stop. That's why they say it's a maintenance phase. Your body, this journey, you're always on a road of construction. It's under construction all the time. It's never ending. You never finish building on this journey.
There's no after. I came to that realization a couple weeks ago. We all see these before and afters on Instagram. There's no after.
There is no after. And that's the part that sucks. And that's the part that makes kids say, I don't want a bariatric anymore.
I'm out. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because we come to this realization of, oh my God, I have to do XYZ for the rest of my life. Whereas before surgery, right, you just think, oh, I'm going to have the surgery, I'm going to eat less, and that's it. That's all that I will have to do. You know, and I, maybe it was a year and a half ago, I realized that I had finally gotten what I had wanted, but I didn't think it would be this way. Right. It's like, I really wanted this, but I didn't think it was going to come with XYZ. Right. I mean, it's just like, oh, no. I did not sign up for this. It's like, oh, I guess I did. And it's one of those things where I don't know how to prepare somebody who has not gone through this yet for this. I don't know if it can be done.
You can't. It's nothing that you can do. I tell people now, hey, you can watch what I do, but don't necessarily follow what I do. I'm going to always refer people, and I tell people this. I say, hey, listen, don't listen to me. Don't listen to Jason. Don't listen to Natalie. Don't listen to April. Always consult with your bariatric team, period. Because we can set examples of what we have done just to show you, hey, this is what some of the stuff that you're going to go through. You're going to face the stalls, but nobody can I can't tell Jason what's going to happen with his body because I'm not in Jason's body. Jason's body is not the same as mine. He might be able to tolerate pizza. I might not be able to tolerate pizza. And that's the thing. People see me eating wings and they be like, well, damn, kid, I can't eat no damn hot wings. I'm sorry. I prayed to the gods. I prayed to sweet baby Jesus that he allowed me to consume hot wings. My prayers were answered. I'm sorry. Maybe that's what you should have asked for. That's just what it is. And April, it goes back to what she was saying, April. It's almost like we were granted 3 wishes, right? And when we take one of those wishes, but what does the genie always say? I'm going to give you what you want, but you got to be ready to live with the consequences that's going to come with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it just goes back. I keep thinking about, when I was listening to you, Ked, talk about your family and the way that they handle food and emotions and all of that. It goes back to, I also, had this really toxic relationship with food, had the surgery, broke up with food because I just didn't care anymore. And now I'm almost 2 years post-op. I'm kind of entering that stage again where I'm like, oh, well, maybe I can talk to that ex again. Maybe I, can pick up a relationship. And it also is frustrating for me because my family's relationship with food hasn't changed.
Right.
But mine has to. And so I'm still going to these family events and these things where there's cupcakes and burgers and, all of these things, but I have to enter it with a different mindset, not I'm breaking April right now. If you're only listening right now.
Yeah, I was like, she's completely broken. Like there's a glitch in her matrix right now.
But I realized very recently, I just had a big family function last weekend and I thought, oh shit, no one else's relationship with food has changed. Only mine has.
Yep.
And it has to, because then I'll be 400 pounds again.
Yep.
That's really frustrating. And I think people don't talk about that either.
Nope. Because we out to dinner and, you're with family and friends or whatever, and they're still ordering and eating all this shit. And then here we are, me and my wife, we sitting over here eating this couple of appetizers that we're sharing. And they're like, that's all y'all gonna eat? Like, yeah, this is it for us. Yeah. Shit, not me. I'm eating that, plus I'm eating this and this and that too. And it's like, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. Yeah. And you got to realize that, your relationship has changed and it's changed for a reason. And, you can't fall back into old habits just because you've gotten back with family and friends and, okay, well, then you kind of let yourself go like, just this one instance, no, hell no. It's not in this one instance, because 9 times out of 10, if your restriction is still there, you're going to make yourself sick. Mm-hmm. Either way, and you just can't fall back. And like you said, it's going back to an ex or something. You can't fall back into old habits like that. And if we got back together, and you got back together with that ex, then we've got an understanding of each other now, and this is where it is. We've got to set boundaries. Like I said, I broke up with food, we got back together, but I had to set boundaries with food. I'm like, okay, you bringing your ass back over here, we're going to be cool again, but, it's got to be some boundaries set there. And so when we go out with family and friends, we make no qualms about it. We be like, hey, this is all we're ordering over here, and we are good. And then people be like, man, so we go out, and I still, to this day, I respect, and I think this is just me, and some people do this, some people don't. I still live by 3 years out of the drinking rule. If I drink something, I wait 15 minutes, and if I eat something, I wait my 30 minutes. That's my doctor told me that was going to be the biggest key to my weight loss. And to me, for me, that has been proven to be true. So we go out, and if we order drinks or something, we're drinking. And then people have already started to order appetizers and food and shit. And me and my wife are still sitting over here like, okay, we're on a timer. And then, they're like, y'all ain't eating? Y'all don't want none of this? No, no. And people are like, what the hell, man? Now we got to wait on y'all ass? Absolutely. If you want to go right ahead. But you got to know that if you go out with us, if we're drinking, it's going to be a period of time we're going to wait. And if we're doing anything after the food, then it's got to be another 30 minutes that I got to wait before I can do it if I want to drink again. So you've got to respect that. But now we've got a little Atlanta weight loss group here, and we've got a little tribe that we all hang out with. Everybody knows what the deal is because we're all on the same fucking page. So it's so great to be out with people that are on the same page. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's bad when I go out with my family. Most of them respect it. You know, I might get a couple of jokes here and there, but it's so great to be able to sit down with people and we all on the same page. And it pisses the server off more than anything because we went out a couple of weekends ago and we were at this restaurant, they have a crab boil or whatever. And we all ordered drinks. And so we're drinking and the server comes by. So you guys ready to order? No, we're drinking right now. And you get sick of explaining yourself. I don't explain myself anymore. This is what it is. If you don't like it, either you're going to put me out or I need to talk to the manager. So I'm not explaining shit. So we're sitting here and the server comes by and she was hella annoyed because we didn't drink. And then now we're waiting 15 minutes and then we ordered. So we been sitting here for 45 minutes already and we ain't ordered shit. Everybody's just drinking. So then we finally ordered. And she's like, well, y'all don't want no water or no sodas or nothing? No, we're good. Y'all just gonna eat this food with no drinks? Absolutely. And she's looking at us like, these are some weird ass people. You know?
I always ask servers, do not refill my water. Take the cup, move it away, because I will drink it and then I'll make myself sick, right?
Right.
And they look at you so weird and it's like, mind your business.
People just don't understand it. And it's weird. And I get it. I get how they feel because they're like, well, because that is what as people know as the norm. That's the norm, to eat and drink at the same time. Because that used to be me. I would go to a restaurant and I would sweet tea them to death, or I would cherry coke them to death. If they had cherry coke, I done had 3 cherry cokes before my meal comes, and then I'm gonna have 4 or 5 more while I'm eating my meal. That was
and I knew the places to go that had the adult, like the big adult cups, like the big like the 44-ounce bitches. Like I knew every restaurant that had them, and I knew the ones that had Mountain Dew because I'd make them fill it. But I'd run them bitches ragged, boy. There'd be 4 or 5 of them shits before I was done with my meal, 3 during the meal, and a couple when I was done. Yeah, no, I was killing them.
Yeah, me and my wife went to lunch yesterday while we were out, and we stopped over at Papados. Everybody know that's my favorite spot. Hint, hint, y'all need to give me with the sponsorship sooner or later because I spend so much money in there. But anyway, we went there, and we didn't drink. We didn't have any drinks, so we get there, and she brings us water. We didn't even touch the water. We immediately ordered because we were kind of on a time thing. And she brought the food out. We never drank the water. And then we ate a couple of bites of the appetizer. And then we had this lunch plate that we were sharing. And we might have ate 2 pieces of shrimp off of it. And we was like, okay, can you bring us a Sco box? And she was like, looking at us like, y'all didn't eat anything. Mm-hmm. But to us, I was stuffed. I was like, fuck, I'm so stuffed. But if you look at the plate, it looked like I didn't even scratch the surface. And we were sharing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
I had that experience recently. And what I've been conscious of is that when we have been going out, I make sure I tell the server, that was amazing. I am so excited to enjoy this at home because I can't finish it. And for whatever reason, I cut them off at the pass just so they don't ask me like, was it okay? Or like, is something wrong? No. Nope, it was phenomenal. I'm going to be enjoying this for days. And truly, I will enjoy it for days. But there's this, right?
Mental note. I'm getting that mental note. I'm going to use that.
Yep. And I think that's why it's so hard to describe to people why spending time with other bariatric patients and friends is different than spending time with maybe our older friends group or family. And it's because of that, Natalie. Everybody in the bariatric community's relationship with food has shifted, right? Or they have a very different approach to it. And when you're around people that have had bariatric surgery, that layer of stress, if you will, is just gone because everybody's on the same page. So I don't need to worry about that at all. That's not even on my radar because, right? It's a sense of ease. And even with our friends and family, that's why I was like, oh my God, it's so like broke my brain. My relationship or my understanding or my interaction with food has changed, but my family's has not. And my older friends group has not. And I have to change it. Whereas I think that they're going to change because I've changed, but that is not absolutely the case. And I think I have just assumed that my family and my friends has changed because mine has, but it has not. And it's not a bad thing.
No.
It's not a bad thing. And I think we have to go into these big things. I talk about this a lot. I have a family reunion every year. We have full buffet style dinners and big cuts of prime rib. I'm talking the size of a plate. And it's delicious. And I remember, it was so funny last year. I was less than a year out and I took a little piece of the prime rib and a little dollop of my favorite potatoes ever. And that was my dinner. And they only have the big buffet style banquet plates. So I'm sitting there with my tiny dinner this big on a huge banquet style plate. And I'm like, this is delicious. And everyone's like, you good?
Yeah, right. What's wrong with you?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that prime rib. It makes me remember the movie The Great Outdoors when they had that 96-ounce steak.
The old 96er.
Old 96er. I used to go to places like that, and I would make it my personal mission in life to finish. Matter of fact, I don't even know if this place is still open in Memphis, but it was this place called Cheeseburger, and they had this 1-pound burger, and you would get your picture on the wall if you could finish it. And of course, I took it as a personal challenge. I finished that burger and then some with all the fixings. And of course, they took my picture. I think I got a t-shirt or something that I probably couldn't fit because they only had an extra large. What an insult. And I wore a 5X. And so I walk out of there with this extra large shirt and I got my picture on the wall. And I thought that was a sense of accomplishment, but it wasn't. It was like, what did you just do? I'm sick as a dog. I'm like, I ate all this meat and, it's going to sit there. Beef sits in your system for a long time. And I think that is one of the worst things that you could do to people, that we do to people.
Yeah.
Is we put these, types of things in front of them like buffets and encourage all you can eat. And I think that that's the thing with America. More is great. More is better. To have more, don't take my freedoms from me. I think we've taken this whole freedom and liberty thing to a whole nother level that's deplorable when it comes to our attitudes with food, because that's what it all comes down to. I'm free to do what I want to do. You can't tell me what to do. But then we're a whole country of, morbidly obese people and having all these health conditions. But you got to think about where it starts. That's where it starts at. The restaurants, the stigma. So you order food now, and it's like, God forbid you go to one of these, and I used to be the same person, you go to one of these fancy hoity-toity type places, and then you pay, $80-$90 for a plate, and they come out with this small amount of food. Like, what the fuck is this?
You get like a 3-ounce filet medallion, like the medallion they like to call it, and it's like a little chip off the corner of a fucking steak, and you're like, what is this?
And that is what you truly should be eating.
Yeah.
That is a dining experience. That is why it's called fine dining.
Exactly. That's what it should be. But then me being me, we would leave the hoity-toity places and I'm going to pull up at the drive-thru. Hey, let me get a 12-piece nugget, large fry. Let me get a Big Mac with that too. And a couple of apple pies and a vanilla shake. Be like, baby, what you want?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute, that was all you? Fuck yeah, shut the fuck up and mind your business. We just left this place where I dropped all this money and I didn't get full. But that's it. That's what it is. April, you just hit the nail on the head. That's fine dining. That's how we should be eating.
Well, and again, but I think we really have connected these dots, right? Food is the place, and the family table or the gathering or the restaurant is the place that we can be a little bit emotional. Sure. It's safe, right? Because I'm taking in this food. Food is joy. I'm kind of zoning out a little bit, but I'm in my safe place where I can express some emotion. Because when I think back to my childhood and how I grew up and just how my family operates, some big, heavy conversations happened as while we were eating around that table. That was the place where it was safe to kind of talk about these things that, we're going to be emotional. So it's not surprising then that, you know, we find some joy, or we find that we're a little bit emotional when it comes to food. That became the safe place. And, you know, like what you were talking about, Ked, like, look, my mind has been broken so many times in this conversation, but all of a sudden this conversation has really helped me connect the dots. I have been having nightmares, and I really am going to say it because these aren't dreams. It's a dream, but I wake up in panic and fear about my ex-boyfriend. I was in a really awful relationship. I didn't realize how awful it was until I got out of it, but for a very long time. And I have been having dreams about him again. And I've been happily married for 11 years, y'all. Like, this is not, but it's this draw back into this relationship that was not good for me. And I'm finding that I'm being drawn back to this like connection to food that was not good for me again. It's the same thing. It's my conscious and unconscious brain going, hey, you are getting tractor beam pulled back into a relationship that was not actually good for you. It was horrible, but there is a reason that I am being pulled back to that. There is something there that is trying to soothe whatever is going on inside of me. And Ked, when you're talking about this relationship, right? I broke up with food, but when I think back, I got sucked back into that awful relationship so many times for reasons that I probably still haven't actually gotten to. And it's the same thing with food. All of a sudden, I'm finding I'm being tractor beam pulled back into these old relationships, these old habits, right? I'm eating way past fullness. I'm not listening to my hunger signals. I'm craving certain foods, and I'm allowing myself to eat those things again. Ooh, whoa. I'm getting sucked back into this awful relationship that I really don't want to be a part of, but I'm finding it really hard to say no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Food as an abusive ex metaphor is really the best way I've found to put it since I've had surgery. Like, it legitimately is. We were all in a relationship with an abusive ex, and we're trying to go back. We're trying to rationalize it. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, it was all right, you know. I mean, I was big, but I wasn't like big. I wasn't my 600-pound life big. So I mean, one cheeseburger didn't make me fat. Like, this didn't do it. A piece of cake didn't make me all the way big. So it's the rationalization you come with and trying to get back into that relationship. And that sounds exactly like what's going on with you, April, with the dreams and stuff. It's the same. Your body, your mind is telling you, hey man, let's not revisit that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, and again, this whole conversation is just, it's, you know, it's nothing. What we're talking about now is nothing what we thought that we would be talking about. But this is the power of conversation, because while food is secondary, it is actually primary to so many of the struggles that we go through as individuals, and with even, like, you know, within our families, that connection and that really the striving to do life differently. And it's so hard. It's so frustrating for me to understand that food is really at the center of so many things of my life. And if I want to live a different life, literally everything has to change.
Oh,
And I think why this work gets so exhausting, why you and I think everybody's to the point where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want a bariatric anymore, because I am so tired of feeling like I've finally figured something out, only to turn a corner and realize, oh, there's something else I need to change. Oh, there's something else. When am I going to get to the point where I just don't need to change anything? Like, I'm finally good. When am I good? And I thought that surgery would be the thing that would make it good. And I'm still realizing, nope, it was one of the things, but it's not the only thing. And I just get tired of doing it. But I also know at the center of my soul, I would be having I was doing this exact same thing before surgery. Oh, this diet, oh, this fad, oh, this pill, oh, this medication, oh, this restriction, this is finally going to do it for me. Only to find, nope, that wasn't it. It's the same thing. It's the same struggle.
Yes.
We had a post on Berry Nation recently about, it was a quote, and it was something like, change is inevitable, but growth is optional. And
yeah. It was, where's my phone? I know exactly.
You know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
it go over to Barry Nation's Instagram and
Yes. Yep.
give it a like. But it you know, that really got me thinking. It's like, you're never going to get to where you're like, it's just good. That's not, it's like the same as us saying there is no after. Okay, what's the quote? Because I see it already.
Yeah, change is inevitable. Growth is intentional.
Yes. And that hit me because we always think, okay, what next month I'm going to hit it, or at my 2 years, it's all going to be good, but that's not real. That's not true. And the joy of life, I think, and something that I'm learning is growing and learning and reevaluating. I mean, my grandma used to say, if you stop learning and growing, then you might as well be dead. And as frustrating and exhausting as it is, I think we have to come at life in general, but also a bariatric life, that things are going to change. And it's how we grow through things that's important.
Absolutely.
Well, I am just speechless, which doesn't happen often.
No.
There is a lot to unpack here, Ked. We would love to invite you back to kind of continue this conversation. I know you are kind of right. We're all 4 of us are in the same spot. Yeah. Something's off. Something's got to give. We're realizing that, oh, there's a different facet of our life that needs to come forward if we want to be authentic in this community and really to ourselves. So if you're down for that, we would love to continue.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it.
This conversation.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you, friend. I think maybe to end this conversation, instead of asking like, I don't know, like what are you going to do about all this is appropriate, but what are your next steps from here? So like, clearly you've got a lot on your mind.
Yeah.
Where are you going? What are you going to do? What are your next steps?
I think part of it is, okay, I've recognized it. So that was the first step. And you said unpack. So that's a good starting point, is unpacking it. And that involves talking with someone, definitely, for sure. And just, it's baby steps. It's just trying to clear out some of the fog that's up top, and just get back to being who I know I am and who I want to be and who I'm proud of being. Not saying that I'm not now, but it's just so easy to get consumed into this whole social media rat race. And it becomes dog eat dog, and it's ugly, and it's just not cool. The shit ain't cool no more. It's just not. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's going to take a little bit of time of just trying to, figure out what's next for Kedric. And I know part of that is trying to get this business of mine in a place that I want it to be. I can't grow it if I'm not growing. And, I can't continue to do the same things in order to help that grow. Change has to be inevitable. And I've got to get with it or quit it. I'm sitting here and I know I've got a great product. It's good, and it's time to take it to the next level. And that's what I'm working on. It's actually what I spend most of my time on, because I just felt like, I put this time and effort into this project, and to become stagnant with it and not become fruitful with it is just, what was the point? Mm-hmm. And so I think that me refocusing efforts there and, still being able to help people along the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to ever, not answer people or stop doing this, but I just think that I can't be so engulfed into a persona and not be true to myself. And I think that's the ultimate takeaway for me now, is that, hey, you can have all of this, but like you said, it's different facets. So it's just me, jumping from, one facet to another and, still circling back. You got to circle back, but we also got to move forward. I can't just sit on this side of the spectrum and not go over to this side of the spectrum. It's almost like, how the moon and everything makes its cycles, how the sun and everything makes its cycles. One false move or one get off the axle or one that don't work in conjunction with the other, then everything on the earth goes into turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the scientific portion of it that, hey, things have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And for Ked, things haven't been working together all the way around. I've put the balance, I've shifted the balance and given more to this and less over here. And that's the part that, that's the takeaway, that I've got to reshift the balance and, rebalance the scales of justice again.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it kind of goes into, what we often talk about in this community, right? That moderation, that balance, that, right? And I know for me, my life was, before surgery, was always off balance. So that felt normal. And now, right, I'm getting to the point where, I'm actually craving or desiring some balance. And when I fall off balance, I know it. And it's just like what you said, you've recognized that this is not even, and this doesn't feel good anymore. Whereas before surgery, right, that tip did. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. It's going to be very exciting to see how you go about doing this. And I know that you will do so in a way publicly that makes a lot of sense to you. And that will be a huge help to our community, because to see how you go through it, right? You're going to have your own recipe. And you might have an ingredient that I need and that we all need for our own recipe. So the fact that you're willing to share that is going to be a huge asset to our community and to anybody that's looking to, become more aligned to who they really are at their core. That's a big undertaking.
Oh yeah. And I mean, and I don't want people to think that I'm going to just, I'm going to go dormant on social media. That's never going to happen. I'm always going to be here. I'm not that person that's going to be like, okay, and people do it all the time. And it actually annoys me. And I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I really hate it when people make this huge announcement and say, because of these circumstances that have happened to me or whatever, I'm just going to, I'm taking a mental health break from social media. There's no such thing, because even when you say you're taking a mental health break, you're still watching. You might not post, but you're still watching because you can't get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just who we are, and it's just how we're built now, and it's what we're connected to. But you've got to set boundaries with it, and that's the part that I mean. That's what I mean. I'm not getting up here with this woe is me moment. Oh, I'm just gonna deactivate my page for a while. I'll see you guys in a couple of months. Who announces that they're taking a break and then say how long they're going to be gone? And like I said, I'm not picking on anybody, but this is just what y'all do. And that's part of it that, that annoys me. And I just can't, I'm like, I would be lying to y'all if I said I'm going to walk away and I'm going to be gone for 3 months. I'll be back in 3 months. I'm lying because I'm still sitting here now watching what y'all do. I'm people watching. That's what we do. Yes. So I'm not going to ever step away from social media or anything like that. It's just, taking a step back and putting everything into its perspective. Everything has a place. You've got to designate time to do this. I've got to designate time for family. I've got to designate time for business, work. I still go to work every day. This doesn't pay my bills like some people might think. This shit ain't paying my bills. If I was relying on this, I'd be poor as hell.
Mm-hmm. We feel that.
That's putting it lightly. This does not pay kids' bills. So don't ever think. And people think, oh, you got a seasoned business. You rich. Hell no, I'm not. When I understand now, when people say you gotta spend money to make money, I'm in the red. I am nowhere near the black, but I know I'm on to something. So it's me putting in, it's an investment into a dream. And, hey, I'm not saying that it's going to work and I'm going to be this big millionaire and this seasoning guy, and everybody's going to be bowing down to me when I'm throwing seasoning out of the air and shit. Oh, poof, I just created a new seasoning. if it happens like that, hey, it happens. I'd be happy as hell to be walking around here with millions of dollars. But I just want to get to a point to where it makes me happy, and and I'm happy with what I'm doing. So yeah, no, I'm not rich. People, no, I mean, you selling seasons, you got it. No, I don't. I ain't got shit. Matter of fact, I owe. I'm still, and I'm working, and I'm taking money out of my, personal shit to make this dream come to fruition. So that's how businesses are built. And I'm learning that.
Trust me, we're very familiar with the concept.
I was going to say, we're right there with you.
Like, damn, kid, you've been looking at our books.
I'm like, you see something that I don't see? Hell, you a fortune teller?
But the thing is, people don't realize that when we do this, with Berry Nation or with your seasonings, this is a risk.
Yeah, a big risk.
Is a risk. And if you don't take risks, what are you doing? Like, you gotta take those risks, because we all know that if we don't, we'll be back where we were, because we were taking risks before.
No reward has ever come without risk.
No.
Yep.
I don't care what nobody says. No reward has ever come without risk, personal risk to something. It just doesn't happen like that.
No. And if you truly believe that you are onto something, if you truly believe you have something that can benefit people, then it's not a risk to try. No. Because the outcome is going to be the same, right? Like, okay, I'm going to try to do this thing. The worst that can happen, you're going to be in debt. You're probably in debt now anyways, without taking a risk. You got a mortgage, you got a credit card, you got a car payment, you've got student loan. Okay, right. I'm actually already in debt. So, okay, right? Like, worst case scenario. And right. Like for us with Berry Nation, it's like, no, we think that this is important. We know that this is important for us. We need this type of support. We're just creating what we need. And if we need it, maybe others do too. And there comes with a lot of risk of putting it out there, like, Berry Nation's not going to be our membership community is not going to be the right support for everybody. People are going to join and think that it's not right for them. Okay. People might try your seasoning. They don't like it. Okay. That hurts, because that's you pouring your heart and soul into something that you think that everybody would benefit from. And it hurts when people are like, nah, actually that was not for me. Right. Oh, right. Then you question yourself, you question what you're doing. You go through all of this stuff. Right. And you've poured blood, sweat, tears, money, all that stuff into it. That hurts. But at the same time, if you still have that little thing inside of you that's going, but this is right for so many other people. That's what you have to, that is the fuel, right? That is the fuel. But yeah, none of it's for the faint of heart. Surgery isn't. Taking these risks, doing these things, it's not. But again, the reward is, joy. The reward is peace, contentment. The reward is contributing, giving something back, creating something that's useful, creating something that brings joy. That's the goal. But man, yeah, you got slogged through it to get there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Well, Kedric, where can people find you on social media or on the web?
They can find me on social media at Sleeve Believe the Hype on Instagram, TikTok. I'm on there, but I'm not there as much. On Facebook, I'm under my government name, Kedric Barrett. I have a Sleeve Believe the Hype page on Facebook as well. The seasoning is www.hypeseasonings.com. That's where you can find it. It's online. I got a lot that I'm working on. The new blend is about to debut. I don't know when this airs, but probably by the time this airs, I've already have done it. I'm thinking I am actually a vendor next weekend at Ponce City Market here in Atlanta, which is huge. They're having a Juneteenth festival, and I submitted and I was selected to be a vendor. And I was over the moon. That's a new step in another direction for me, because I have solely been relying on internet sales. So I'm stepping into a new realm. I'm trying to take this thing to the next level. So that's where my focus and drive and energy is right now. And that's going to be the first of many, because I've taken some steps to do some things to put myself in another position. And I think this is going to really work. I know it's going to work. I just, it has to. And I'm debuting the new blend next weekend at the event. So if you're in Atlanta, you can be one of the first. It won't be online until after this event is over. But the new blend is a taco blend. And I know I said this months ago that it was supposed to come out for Taco Tuesday, but it is here now. I approved the labels just last Wednesday. So it's coming. It'll be here to me in a few days, and it'll debut next weekend. I'll put more information on the Juneteenth event up on social media later today. And I will talk more about it later today after I come back from another thing that I want to do today and put that out there. But Taco Tuesday is here. It's finally here. And the third blend, I'm working on the third blend right now. It's still in development. So I'm really trying to grow this thing seriously. And this is like my baby. This is my project. Me and my wife diligently on it. My wife has been so instrumental in helping me get this thing going, because like next weekend, and I'm gonna say this and we can wrap this up. Like for Juneteenth, I was just gonna go out there, probably just have an old raggedy table and chair and just throw some seasons up there and be like, okay, hey, you can come buy this shit. She's like, no, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this right. You've got to be presentable. You need this, this, and this. So this is, she's been instrumental in helping me, because I'm just like, hey, I'm like, I'm gonna go out here. You're gonna buy it. You need to go get this season right. This is what I'm saying. They're like, your presentation is whack.
Dude, that aesthetic, that presentation matters. That matters.
It matters. So yeah, when you see the video or the presentation or the pictures, when you finally see it, that's gonna be all. This is all her. I'm like behind, I'm the guy that can come up with the blends and do all this good stuff. But the aesthetic part of it and the presentation, I mean, I'm good with presentation, but I'll be kind of trifling with it. I'm like, I'm taking the easy way out, like these bastards say we did with the surgery. I'm going to take the easy way out, So, yeah. But yeah, no, seriously though, Taco Tuesday is going to be second up with Memphis City Blues. It'll be on the website probably Sunday after next week's event. And I'm open to try to sell out.
I bet you are. Well, I mean, Taco Tuesday, that's I think that's just like an American national holiday every Tuesday. So yeah. It's going to be fire. We know it is. Your first season, the Memphis City Blues is amazing. So we know you're going to knock it out of the park with everything that you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate you guys seriously for always showing love and pumping up the seasoning. I've got plenty of sales, from the referrals and stuff like that you guys have made. And I'm so appreciative for that. So yeah, that's where we're headed with this. And who knows, 6 months to a year, I got plans to grow and do some things and be in some different places by this time next year.
Awesome. Well, anything that we can do to help you make that happen, please let us know. We are in your corner. We are rooting for you the entire way.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Seriously, it means a lot.
Well, you mean a lot to us and to our community. So it really does take a village, right? It takes everybody supporting each other in every way that we possibly can. And when we are here for that, I mean, you are such a strong voice in our community. You do the same for everybody else. And we want to see you be successful in all facets of your life as well. So we are here for that.
I appreciate that. And I mean, the bariatric community has been great with the seasoning, because without them and their support, it wouldn't be where it is right now. Mm-hmm. I give credit where credit is due. They stepped up in a major way. Yep. And have, made reels, videos. They tell their mom and them, they spread the word to everybody. I've had so many people come back. I've had so many mothers and grandmothers. They'd be like, yo, I swear by this season, baby, I put this shit on everything.
Well, get ready, because Taco Tuesday is going to be even bigger.
Yeah, my wife's been telling me that for months now. She's like, you should have been. This is what it's be. Because my baby is Memphis City Blues. I love it, but I'm a taco head too. But it's just something about Memphis City Blues. But my wife, she's like, no, you just wait till you put this taco shit out. People are going to lose their mind with that. Mm-hmm. So,
mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Oh, don't worry, it's happening. It's happening.
Well, yeah.
Well, Ken, thank you so very much for joining us. We very much appreciate your time and your honesty in today's conversation. This was a big one.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Seriously, more than you know.
Jason, my friend, you want to take us out?
Yeah, Ken, just, like April said, thank you. We appreciate you for always being around and being being a friend to the Berry Nation community at large. And we thank you guys all for liking, sharing, subscribing, and continuing to support us in the ways that you do. Don't forget that you can always leave us ratings and reviews on your favorite podcast players, as well as leave us voice messages in the Anchor app that we can apply to future episodes of the podcast, because your voices matter and we want to highlight them as much as we can. And don't forget, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Ken.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You guys have a good one.